everyone, my name is Amanda and welcome back to another Rainy Books with Amanda where I do book reviews, and I recently did a silent vlog. Thank you to everyone who watched my first silent vlog. It was something out of the ordinary that I don't really do. If you haven't checked it out, I will link it down below. And so we are doing a book review today, but before we do, I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out to a local tea place here in San Antonio. This is in no way, shape, or form sponsored. I just think in this time that we really need to support each other, especially our small businesses. And I think that the tea place that I just wanted to give them some love. They've given me some love. I did a year or 2 years ago when I self-published my first book. They let me have a book signing at their facility, so just giving back the love. So when you're reading a book, usually book lovers tend to gravitate towards 3 different kinds of drinks. One being wine, the other one being coffee, and the last one being tea. And some people like one or the other, or some people like all 3, just like me. But ever since quarantine, before quarantine, I always liked tea, but I would just get whatever I found at the Dollar Tree, which there is nothing wrong with buying tea at the Dollar Tree. It's got flavor, it's not nasty or anything, it's perfectly fine. But when quarantine started, for us at least back in March, I just found myself wanting to find some alternatives and something more organic and nice, and so I gravitated back towards the Garden Tea Lounge. Now, the Garden Tea Lounge is a small business here in the San Antonio area. They're actually connected to Craftiques Mall. And Craftiques Mall is basically just a little antique mall where people can buy a little space inside this facility and then they can sell their merchandise. And so I don't know if they're open right now, but I know that they're doing a lot of Facebook Lives where you can like pick and choose what you want over Facebook Live. I'll link both of those places down below, but Garden Tea Lounge is just an awesome place. And they have some great products. I've gotten quite a few. My favorite being the berry hibiscus. It is it's like a sweeter tea. It's not like overly sweet, like actual sweet tea, but it is really good. And then I really like the white tea rose. I don't know how to say that word. Melange. But it's another organic tea. It's made with rose, white tea, green tea, peppermint, lavender, and jasmine flowers. And before I started getting my teas from Garden Tea Lounge, I didn't even know that there was other teas other than black and green. But then I found out, there's white, there's fusion, there's a whole bunch of types of teas. So if you like to drink tea while you're reading books, or if you know someone who loves to drink tea, again, I will link the Garden Tea Lounge down below. I do have delivery as of right now. And one more thing before I get to this review, I do want to say that I did get paid to do this review by the Texas Lone Star Literary Life. I have mentioned them before. I do every now and then I do book reviews for them. We basically help Texas authors by doing what we call blog tours. Us bloggers do get paid to write reviews for these books, but they always let us show our own opinions. All our opinions are ours, and we get to let our audience know what we feel about the book. We do not get paid to give an all 5-star review or anything like that. And then I'll link the Texas Lone Star Literary Life down below. They're just a great resource to find out everything that's happening in the literary world, especially right here in Texas. So the book that I am reviewing today is called Landing in My Present, and it is by Mary Walker Clark. This is actually a biographical Story by Mary Walker Clark. She wrote this book because she never really knew her father in a more intimate sort of way. She just knew him as the guy that loved to fly planes and was in World War II and was kind of in and out of her life because of his love for work dominated his life a little bit. And so she didn't really get to know him, and he did pass away at a young age. And so she wanted to get to know him a little more. And so after her mom died, she found these treasure boxes and started digging into her father's life before he was married, when he was in World War II, during his marriage, and even a little bit after, and what kind of guy he was like, who he was, and everything in between. So she wrote this book about him, and when Lone Star Literary said, hey, who wants to read this book, I was interested because I am a very big biography type of person. I love to read biography, and I'm a big history buff as well, and I'm also really big on World War II. That is a whole different story. I started getting into World War II when I was about 10 years old, but that's a conversation for a different time. I like to really dig into World War II. I think that there's just so much that we uncover, there's just so much that has happened and that led to present day life from World War II, from different countries. And so I'm always learning something new when I'm reading about World War II history. So I decided to take on this book, and after reading it, I found out even more stuff about World War II than I knew. And I think if you can learn something from a book, that's always an amazing thing. But some things that I learned from this book was the Himalayan hump. It's basically this hump that the Air Force had to fly over to get their supplies to China, because they couldn't just drive through. And so Walker's father was an Air Force pilot during World War II, and he had to fly this hump, and it was a really dangerous hump from what she explained to us and what we read through his letters, because she puts the letters that he wrote to his mom and dad during the war. And so we learned that this hump was very dangerous, and he went over it plenty of times and he survived. This is something that I didn't know about. So there's lots of little things like that you read and that you find out, and you're just like, oh, no, I didn't know about that. It was also interesting to find out that her father owned a plane throughout most of her life. I think most of his life, he owned a plane, and they would just fly from one place to another. And it was just interesting. I didn't really know. I mean, I don't own a plane. I don't know anyone who owns a plane. So I didn't really realize that people, at least back then, could just get on a plane and then just go, I guess, into an airport or whatever was nearby, and they could just land. And, that raises more questions for me, because I'm like, do they have to pay a fee? Can they still do that now if you own a plane or you know someone who owns a plane? If you can let us know some more information about owning a plane and how people can land and everything, that'd be kind of cool. I'm always interested in random little facts, for that little chance that I might be on Jeopardy one day. I also appreciated the story. The book is under the category of biography, but it's a little bit of biography and autobiography at the same time, just because you find out a little bit about our author's history, but at the same time, you're finding out a lot about her father's history. So it's an intertwining biography, and I find that really cool. And if you love biographies, it's a good mixture for all of my biography and autobiography loves out there. The only thing that I wasn't a huge fan on was she talks in a couple of chapters a little more about the planes that her father flew, and she kind of goes more into like the details of the plane and how it works and mechanics, and I'm not a technical person like that, so I wasn't really interested in that, and I just kind of I would just find myself just reading it and kind of like rushing to read it to get to the next chapter. But that was only like a couple of chapters and they were pretty short, so it didn't take away from the book or anything. And if anyone likes to learn more about like planes and little details about technical stuff, you would probably enjoy that. I just personally don't really find an interest in that stuff, but that's just me. But overall, I do recommend this book. It's a great biography read. It's a little bit different. You learn a little bit new things about World War II that you may have not known from an Air Force perspective. You're finding out these things with the author about her father, and it's just interesting to see her reactions and how she was feeling when she was finding out all these things, because she honestly just didn't really know too much. So, and if you can relate to that, you probably really love this book. And it's not a long read either. I don't have the book with me right now because I read it as an ebook, but you can have it as an ebook or a physical copy book. But it wasn't that long. It was maybe just a shy of 200 pages, so it wasn't anything crazy. At least I don't think it's anything crazy. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my review. I will link my written review that I did down below. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. And if you're not already, please follow me on social media. All my social media handles are at A Bit of Amanda. And until next time, happy reading.